Well, hi there, friends. It is 6 a.m. on this Tuesday morning. Thanks so much for joining us here on Up with KREM. I'm Channing Curtis.
And I'm Tim Pham. Channing, you know what today is?
What?
Fat Tuesday.
Oh, it's Fat Tuesday.
It's not just any Tuesday, it's Fat Tuesday.
I was like, wait, I was like, it's not Friday. It's not Friday Eve. I was like, did I miss some day?
It's Fat Tuesday. Channing chose today's color.
I did, for Fat Tuesday, and I can't believe I forgot when you just said it right there.
It's probably wild in New Orleans today.
You know it is.
Yeah, not too wild weather-wise here. There is some fog though, right, Thomas, this morning? And even some maybe some icy and frosty conditions.
Yes, and those conditions are paired and linked together. It's a freezing fog that's occurring. It's 28 degrees and foggy outside right now in Spokane. So we're under dense fog advisories until noon today. So anytime between now and the noon hour likely will be foggy across most of eastern Washington, a few areas of North Idaho. We'll look at the visibility reports where it's being listed as 0 in Spokane. Of course, that's out in the airport. 1¼ mile visibility in Coeur d'Alene and 1/4 mile in Pullman. But I noticed something interesting because our computer model does a great job at interpolating a lot of this data. Notice how the West Plains are very bad in that fog, and there's a spot over Coeur d'Alene, but in between that, mainly in Spokane Valley and along that I-90 corridor, not quite as bad, and the camera images also support that. So we still have some patchy but intense fog through this morning.
In our ongoing Boomtown series, we track growth in our region. One big portion of that growth is our increased homeless population. Channing Curtis joining us now, looking into the numbers. Channing?
Yeah, Tim. So 4 months ago, I traveled to Houston to learn how they decreased their homeless population by 60% in the last 10 years and to see if what they're doing could work here in Spokane. Now, Spokane does use a similar approach to Houston's homeless services model, but why does our homeless population continue to increase? So I dug deeper to find out exactly how much money we're spending on homeless services in Spokane and if it's enough.
This could be your brother, your sister, you know, it happens very easily and it happens very quickly.
2,390.
Most people aren't but one paycheck away from being homeless themselves.
That's the number of people experiencing homelessness in Spokane and Spokane County, according to the 2023 point-in-time count.
We're seeing an influx of individuals coming to our shelter.
Darren White was once part of that number.
I started experiencing homelessness as a youth, going through the foster system.
Now he works at House of Charity.
A lot of people, I think, have that misconception that people choose to be homeless. While there are a few people that maybe do choose to be homeless, I would say the majority of them have just had circumstances that have created their homelessness.
But that's not the only misconception people have.
So I think there's a kind of a public perception that homelessness is not, you can just do whatever you want to fix it.
Dawn Kinder is the new director of Spokane Neighborhood Housing and Human Services.
It's a very regulated, very compliance-based set of state and federal laws, funding restrictions, and policies. And so our hands are tied in some situations in terms of what we can do.
The department allocates millions of dollars in local, state, and federal funding to dozens of service providers working to get people out of homelessness.
It is not a simple problem to solve, and it is one that takes a lot of time and effort and collaboration and really community leveraging of resources. It's a gravely underfunded part of really our country's work, right? Behavioral health and housing and homelessness are gravely underfunded.
Out of the more than $43 million that was allocated to homeless services, housing services, and rental assistance in 2023, just $3 million of that came from the city's general fund. Much of it actually came from COVID relief funding that is now running out.
We cannot spend in 24 what we spent in 23. The state and federal governments did a great job trying to take care of people during COVID, but now what? And so now there's a cliff we're coming into.
Which will have huge impacts on service providers like Catholic Charities.
If you have a pool of dollars at the state, the city, or the county level, and you want to spend it towards solving these issues, you have to spend it wisely and carefully and make sure you're getting results.
Rob McCann is the CEO of Catholic Charities. He says his organization, like so many others in town, need more money to put towards long-term housing. If the amount that the city has allocated to spend on homelessness services is going up, but then the number of people who are still unhoused right now is also going up, Then what? What's the answer there?
Well, I think that's a great point that you're making here. You know, the reality is homelessness has increased because housing has become less affordable. There are less units.
But he also says locals need to be open to change as well.
We need to kind of arrive at a place where we can say to the public, we need more shelter beds, we need more treatment beds, we need more housing. You've got some nonprofits, great nonprofits in this community that are willing to build and operate all three of those. What stops us is every time we try and build anything at Catholic Charities, we will immediately get protests, attacks on social media, and then you have a government system that has zoning laws that makes it really difficult to build shelters and treatment and housing. Then you get a system where we want to be like Houston. We're never going to be like Houston unless we come to agreement on some of these big picture issues.
Now, we do have a lot more coverage on our growing homeless population. To learn more, head over to KREM.com or the KREM 2 Plus app. If you don't have KREM 2 Plus just yet, it's free to download right now on Apple TV, Roku, and Amazon Fire.
Our Boomtown series continues this week with all new stories looking at growth and the impact it's having on Washington's second largest city. Tonight, we focus on downtown Spokane's future and look into the challenges and opportunities the next 5 years will bring.
If you look at any successful city all across the United States, look at what they have and what they offer. They offer a destination. They offer people a reason to go downtown. So what's your reason? Is it the shopping? Is it the nightlife? We are missing some opportunities.
KREM 2's Kyle Simchuk sat down with developers and city leaders tonight on KREM 2 News at 6. Here are the changes they want to see in the next 5 years.
Today, ballots are due this evening for the February special election. KREM 2's Brandon T. Jones is in Spokane with more on what voters need to know.
Well, yeah, what you should know is that you just got to get those ballots in by 8 p.m. tonight. And of course, we're here at the Hive, which has a drop box location, but you can find a drop box location near you. Just go to SpokaneCounty.org onto their elections website, and you can find one that is closer to you. As a reminder, day of registration and in-person voting will also be accepted today. You just got to make sure you get down to a location like the election office before 8. There are dozens of propositions and measures on the ballot. That includes school and library funding along with redistricting. Lots of levies to be voted on across school districts in the county. Here in Spokane, there's also a bond representing $200 million on your ballot. We'll bring you election results throughout the night here on KREM 2 News, but Spokane County officials won't have results certified until February 23rd. Again, I'll say it one more time, but just make sure you get to those ballot drop-off locations by 8 p.m. tonight. Reporting in Spokane County, Brandon T. Jones, KREM 2 News.
Now, there are 35 different levies on the ballot, including what Brandon just touched on.
So let's take a look now at other levies you'll see on your ballot. Liberty Lake has 2 propositions up for public vote. The first is a proposed 3-year replacement levy. It would grant up to $1.75 million in 2025, $1.85 million in 2026, and just under $2 million in 2027. The levy would include funding for class size reduction, athletics, and extracurricular activities.
The Meade School District has just one levy on their ballot. It's also a 3-year replacement levy. Now, it gives about $29 million in 2025, $30 million in 26, and $31 million in 27. The money would be for special education, nurses, and technology support. You can see the full voter's guide on SpokaneCounty.org. It's under the current elections tab.
Central Valley, Cheney, Deer Park, and Medical Lake School Districts also have a levy on this year's special election. For more information on this year's special election ballot, text the word VOTE to our text line number 509-448-2000, and we will send a link right to your phone.
Time is 6:10 as we keep an eye on those foggy conditions across the inland northwest. This is Highway 395 near Newport, or at least on the way there. Still very foggy conditions on the north side of Spokane County, though downtown Spokane and downtown Coeur d'Alene don't look too bad, and it looks like the lower elevations of Spokane and Kootenai County are faring a little bit better than, say, the higher elevations. And just took a look from our own outdoor weather center, and it is looking very foggy still at our South Hill studios. Same story at the airport interchange along Highway 2, Sunset Highway. We take you up towards Hayden, and that was the foggiest camera I could find in Kootenai County as well. So the fog is patchy, but it is intense where it has developed, and it is, of course, a freezing fog, which we'll continue to see through the rest of this morning. Temperatures are above the freezing mark by the midday hour.